If I'm not careful, this could end up becoming a regular occurrence for me. Hello again, and welcome to When Equality Strikes. I managed to stumble across another story today which I think deserves review in this time spot. I think it is a sad event when a person has everything they could need, but they're not satisfied. So they get greedy and grasping and end up losing everything. Today's story is a sad tale along those lines. So, to kick us off, bride-to-be calls off her wedding after guests refused to pay £1,200 towards it. Link in the description. A furious bride-to-be has called off the wedding she wanted her friends to pay £1,200 each to attend. Getting married can be an expensive business, so it isn't unusual for brides and grooms to ask their families and friends to contribute. But one bride-to-be, Susan, got a little bit carried away with her wedding planning and needed a really quite significant financial contribution from her friends to pull off her dream day. And having asked them to splash the cash, she also made it apparent that if they weren't willing to cough up, they weren't really going to be welcome. Charming. Unsurprisingly, things didn't end well, and having called off her big day, Susan seemingly took to Facebook to share her matters on the feeling, because that's always a great idea. The epic rant has since gone viral after being screenshotted and shared to Mumsnet and Twitter. Susan started her post by apologising for cancelling her wedding at such short notice, explaining that she and her other half have split due to recent and irreparable problems. How did this all come crashing down? Well, I invite you all on Facebook, players, bystanders and side characters of the people in my life, to take a seat and listen. You are all involved somehow. Somehow everyone is wrapped up in this mess. Even if you weren't invited to my wedding, I don't care. She goes on to explain that things were rosy at first. Having met her ex at 14, he asked her to marry him at 18, and they had the first child at 20. But fast forward a few years, and while planning the big day, things started to go wrong. Though they'd saved $15,000, around £11,000, to have the big party they'd always wanted, they would need about $60,000, approximately £46,000 in total. So they turned to their friends and family for help. I specifically asked for cash gifts. How could we have our wedding that we dreamed of without proper funding? We'd sacrificed so much and only asked each guest for around $1,500, approximately £1,200. We talked to a few people who'd even promised us more to make our dream come true. She went on to explain that her maid of honour had offered $5,000, and her ex's family had also contributed $3,000. We made it clear, if you couldn't contribute, you weren't invited to our exclusive wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime party. So they sent out RSVPs, and only 8 people replied. Unsurprisingly, Susan was not a happy bunny. How was this supposed to happen for a little help from our friends? To make matters worse, my ex's family took back their offer, and other people started backing out too, including her maid of honour. To try to salvage the wedding, the couple set up a GoFundMe page but only managed to raise about another $250. With her dream wedding slipping out of sight, the final nail in the coffin came when Susan's ex suggested having a cheap, ragged, filthy whore ceremony in Vegas instead of the dream day she'd hoped for. I just wanted to be a Kardashian for a day and then live my life like normal, she explained. See, that's the key. That's the important part. To top things off, Susan expected her husband-to-be had been cheating on her. So there was only one thing for it. Call it off and head off travelling, leaving it all behind. So instead of jetting off on her honeymoon, she decided to go backpacking across South America for the next 2 months to rid herself of the toxic energy. I need to get away from this awful society. How hard would it have been to effing donate, friends? Do I matter to you? Friendly reminder. Don't think you own me. I am cutting all you snakes off. I am living my life alone now with my 12 cats. Unsurprisingly, people on social media were pretty shocked by the whole elaborate tale. OMG, that's some Bridezilla, one Mumsnet user wrote. Can't be true, surely. But if it is, all those other Bridezillas out there should bow out in shame, another added. The now deleted Facebook post had only been up for about 15 minutes before Susan took it down. And someone claiming to be a relative of the bride has since had their say. Susan's apparent second cousin confirmed that she was definitely a living, breathing human being, and that they sadly shared a small percentage of DNA. They went on to say, clearly she hasn't. They went on to say, clearly she has entitlement issues. But I've never known her to be this obnoxious. Honestly, over the years, she has been nice and overall sweet. No red flags came to mind. She has humble beginnings and has been working on her parents' farm since she was young. You really wouldn't expect someone from an agricultural background to share Kardashian-style materialism. But hey, I guess she's an outlier. I guess Susan learned the hard way that life is very short, and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friends. Therefore, I'm going to leave you with this startling thought. Just remember, your sole purpose in life is to serve as a warning to others.